Hello, everyone. In Chapter 8, we focus on markups and markdowns, perishables, and break-even analysis. Now, before we can get into any type of calculation with markups and markdowns, we want to look at terminology within this chapter. It is important to understand these terms in order to solve these different types of problems. So first, we look at cost. And we're referring to the price a retailer pays to a manufacturer or a supplier. So when you go to your favorite retail outlet, when we talk about cost, we're referring to the actual amount that the retailer paid for that item. The sales price or the selling price is the amount you actually pay for the item as the consumer. So if you went to the store and you bought a pair of tennis shoes for $200, that would be the actual selling price, but the cost that the retailer paid for the item may only be $75. That's because there's a markup, margin, or a gross profit on the item. The difference between the cost of bringing the item to the store and the selling price is known as the markup, the margin, or the gross profit. So again, if you pay for an item $200 as the selling price, the retailer only paid for the item $75, and the difference of 125 makes up what we call the gross profit, the markup, or the margin. We'll talk more about that. Operating expenses are overhead, or we call the cost of doing business. Certain expenses must take place in order to run a business organization. We have to have employees, got to pay salary, wages, have to pay rent, utilities, advertising. So these are examples of different types of operating expenses. And then the last term we have is net profit or net income. When we look at the actual selling price that an item sold for, subtract from that the cost of goods, meaning the cost that the retailer paid for those items, and any operating expenses, then the end result is known as your net profit or your net income. So selling price minus cost of goods sold minus operating expenses equals what's known as net profit or net income. So now that we have a little terminology, let's get into some actual problem solving, shall we? Let's say that assume Gap plans to sell hooded fleece jackets for $23 that cost them $18. The first simple question is, what is the markup on the item? Well, the selling price equals $23. The cost Gap paid for the item was $18. So the cost plus the markup equals the selling price. And depending upon what item you're trying to find, so we're trying to solve for the markup, selling price minus the cost equals the markup, which would be $5. So from a numerical standpoint, the item was marked up a total of $5. Now we're saying, okay, we know the Gap markup, but what is the percent markup on cost? So now we're saying what would be the actual markup from a percentage standpoint as well as from a dollar standpoint. Well, from a dollar markup, we know the amount is $5. Again, the markup is just selling price minus the cost. But from a percentage standpoint, to get the percent of the markup, we'll take the dollar markup, which is $5, and divide that by the cost, which is $18, and that would give us our percent of markup, which would be 27.78%. So the question is, what does that mean? It means that the selling price of this fleece jacket was marked up roughly 28% of the cost. Because again, $5 is 28% of $18, and the actual sales price is $5 higher than the actual cost. Or if you want to look at it from the dollar markup being $5, divide that by the percent of markup, the 27.78%, that can also give you the cost. So just like in previous chapters, if I know any two of these three factors, I can solve for the unknown. Let's check it. So again, if I take the selling price, $23, that equals my cost, which is $18, we're saying the markup is 27.78% of the cost. So if you multiply 27.78, which is 0.2778 as a decimal, times 18, that would give us $5. Therefore, the selling price does equal cost plus the markup. Okay? Now, when we look at things from a percentage, markup based on cost being 100%. So if the cost is 100% and the markup is 27.78%, we're saying the selling price represents 127.78% of the cost. So in our previous example, $23 equals 127.78% of $18. Okay? This time we have Mel's Furniture bought a lamp for $100. To make Mel desired profit, he needs a 65% markup on the cost. The question is, what is Mel's dollar markup and what is his selling price? So again, Mel desires to make a profit. He needs a 65% markup on the cost. So again, selling price equals cost plus markup. We know the cost is $100. The markup he wants is 65% of the cost. 65% of 100 would give us $65. Therefore, in this illustration, the selling price will equal $165. This represents the cost plus the markup of 65% of the cost, and again, the selling price will equal $165. For each problem, we have to make sure we understand how we're doing the calculation. Sometimes the markup can be based upon cost, other times it can be based upon selling price. One other example? Okay. Next example, we have Jill Sports sells tennis rackets for $50. So that's the selling price of $50. To make her desired profit, Jill needs a 40% markup on the cost. So now we're saying, what do the tennis rackets cost Jill, and what is the dollar markup? So once again, same formula, selling price equals cost plus markup. In this case, they gave us the selling price as being $50, and the markup is going to be 40% of the cost. So as a formula, $50 equals C, which is cost, plus 40% of C, which is the markup. So from an algebraic standpoint, we have 50 equals 1.40 over C, because we're combining the cost plus the markup. So we're saying the selling price equals 140% of the cost. In order to solve for the cost, we're going to divide the selling price by 1.40, which is 140% as a decimal, and that would give us a cost of $35.71. So if the cost is $35.71, we're asking what is the dollar markup? The markup would be the selling price minus the cost. Therefore, the markup on the item would equal $14.29. So again, to do our calculation, the formula is selling price equals cost plus markup. The selling price is $50. The cost, we're going to say C equals cost. The markup is 40% of C. So when you combine the cost plus the markup, it would be 140% of the cost. Remember, we did the percentage into decimals. 140% is 1.40 as a decimal. When you divide both sides by 1.40, they gave the cost of $31.71. Subtract the cost from the sales price, gives a markup of $14.29. So here's the example we looked at before, except in the previous example, the markup was based upon cost. This time it'll be a little different. Calculating dollar amount and percent markup on selling price. So now we're saying that the markup is contingent upon the selling price. So the cost is $23. We plan to sell at $23, and we're asking what is the markup. So of course the markup is still selling price minus cost, which is $5. But now the question is, what is its percent markup on the selling price? So to get the percent markup on the selling price, we'll take the dollar markup, divide that by the selling price. So again, this markup in this exact illustration is not based upon cost, it is based upon the selling price. So if I take the dollar markup, divide that by the selling price, that would give me the percent markup on the selling price. So take $5, divide that by 23, that'll give you 21.74%. Therefore, we're saying the percent markup based upon the selling price is 21.74. In other words, $5 represents 21.74% of the $23. You following everything? So if you need to, again, go back and rewatch the video till you understand it. So once again, if I know any two of these factors, you can solve for the unknown. So again, the dollar markup we know is $5. We're saying the percent markup on selling price is 0.2174. Therefore, the selling price will equal $23. It's just a way of kind of checking your math to make sure we've done these calculations correctly. Okay, let's do one more and then we'll come back with our second video. So remember in this situation, if we know the cost plus the markup together, they must equal the selling price. So if the markup is 21.74%, then the cost represents 78.26% of the sales price. In this last example, we look at male bought a lamp, $400. Desired profit is 65%, but this time 65% markup on the selling price. So we're saying what or male selling price and dollar markup in this situation. So again, selling price equals cost plus markup. We know the cost is $100. The markup is going to be 65% of the selling price, which is unknown at this time. So using the order of operations, get the verbs on the same side. That would give you 0.35s, selling price equals 100. We're going to divide both sides by 0.35. Therefore, the selling price will equal $285.71. Because once again, for this illustration, the selling price is going to be, well, the markup is 65% on the selling price, not on the actual cost. So to check our dollars, markup equals sales price minus cost. So we take the sales price of $285 minus the 100. Therefore, the markup will be $185.71. So take time to marinate over the first section of the Chapter 8 video. I'm going to come back with part 2, so stay tuned.